A Wedding Day Letter to My Grandson. Thoughts on Long-Lasting Marriage and Love Relationships. This program is written and recorded by Connie Shaw. Copyright 2023 by Connie Shaw.
As background to this letter, I'd like to mention that my grandson, with a bit of urgency and anxiety, asked me to tell him everything that I know about long-lasting marriage and love relationships. One of this couple was brought up in a non-religious household. The other person in this couple was brought up in a very devout LDS, Latter-day Saints, or Mormon family. Dear hearts, I know you're very busy now, especially embarking on one of life's most significant roles as a spouse in a legally contracted marriage. And don't let your marriage ruin your relationship. That is, there are so many myths about marriage that are not true, or which are part of outworn, dysfunctional, cultural, or religious conditioning that can be tossed out, in my humble opinion. In other words, you two are not about to lace yourselves into straitjackets of unexamined beliefs, hopefully, but to continue to create a living, growing, loving, and dynamic relationship that nurtures both of you and which becomes a repository of strength, loving compassion, and wisdom, to which you can turn not only daily for comfort and understanding, but especially in moments or times that are overwhelming, confusing, extremely frustrating, and exasperating. It's easy to stay in love the first few years of the honeymoon phase, but the charms and illusions of any relationship eventually wear off, unless each of us, whether spouse, friend, colleague, or a family member, is doing our daily personal work of personal inquiry or self-examination. That means inspecting ourselves within for our own impatience, selfishness, unconsciousness, harsh tone of voice, our tricks, our manipulations of others, and the ways in which we are self-centered, uncaring, or generally unaware of the needs and issues of those around us. We are not here on the planet to expect it to conform to our needs, whims, or desires, in spite of all the cultural, social, and generational propaganda now. Don't be misled by all of the seemingly glamorous beings on social media who seem to have it all, to know it all, and to be doing it all. Can we really know that they are truly happy? They may be, like most humans lately, sunk in fear and panic, in depression, discouragement, disillusionment, or even self-harming tendencies and addictions behind a happy mask of despair. They may not have a clue about how to be honest, self-reflective problem solvers in their relationships. What can we ourselves do to be self-aware? First of all, always remember to ask God for help. He never leaves us. But fickle beings that we humans are, we leave Him all the time, like a dance-away lover vowing to return soon. But it could be weeks, months, or years until we even think of Him again. The secret to receiving lots of grace, according to me, in my long and continually graced life, is these 3 sentences. The more you think of God, the more He thinks of you and blesses you. The more that you help others, the more He helps you. The more you give to others of your time, money, talents, and compassion, the more of those He will give to you. I call it boomerang grace. That's it, boomerang grace. You just can't keep joy, love, wisdom, and prosperity away from yourself when you constantly give those things away to strangers and loved ones alike. So remember to pray daily, if not hourly, on some intense days. The most famous prayer in the world is, "Help! Help! I need you!" Then, be specific about what it is you're asking for and why you think you want and need it. One of my frequent prayers is, quote, "Lord, please help me to see this person or situation differently. And could you turn up the volume, please, on your guidance? Thanks, Lord." No disrespect, Lord, but you are truly my BFF, best friend forever. End quote. Now, for waking up to reality once you are married. The most important tip that we can offer you is to make it true for yourselves that kindness to each other is a non-negotiable aspect of your marriage. I repeat, kindness to each other is a non-negotiable aspect of your marriage. End quote. That alone will carry you the full distance. Here are 9 things to especially consider about long-lasting marriage and love relationships. 1. Realize that your spouse will be your true best friend directly after God. Wife is for life. Don't let other friendships or work relationships supplant or become more important than the bond with your beloved. Number 2, he or she will be the greatest mirror of your projections, that is, seeing in the spouse what you are actually doing or being or feeling without realizing it and blaming them for it. Don't insist on getting your way. 3. Your spouse is your greatest teacher of acceptance of what is. They will be the biggest button pusher of all of your unresolved issues, your repressed anger, shame, guilt, and insecurity as a person. He or she is the one person in this wide world who best knows and understands you. Never exploit that knowledge, understanding, and deep awareness that no one else will know about them unless one of you blabs to prying friends or relatives about the precious secrets or things that are none of their business. Number 4. There are 3 kinds of business: yours, mine, and God's. Most things are none of our business, and dabbling in them wastes lots of time, energy, and resources. Stay in your own lane and work on yourself. It's a lifetime, ongoing, do-it-yourself, inside job. There's no escaping it, whether married or single. Number 5. Time waste is life waste. We don't know when our life expiration date will be up, so stay present and focused and stay tuned in to the guidance in your heart, moment to moment. I don't know about you, but I get a little buzz or tickle in my heart that says, Yes, green light, go ahead. If there's no resonance in my heart, I don't do anything. And I don't go along to get along. If I don't feel like going somewhere with a bunch of friends or family just to pass time, I say, quote, thanks for inviting me, but right now I'm just not resonating with it. If that changes, I'll let you know. And thanks so much for asking me. Just knowing that your invitation is there makes me feel happy. Have fun and let me know how it goes. End quote. Number 6, your spouse will be your confidant. Don't complain. Don't grouse in your mind or in conversations with others or with another confidant about your beloved, unless that person is, say, a pastor, a counselor, or a very wise and unbiased soul who loves both of you equally. That complaint game is an inescapable cul-de-sac of confused feelings, guilt, and privileged information that could get built up into a large, invisible, immovable boulder of resentment. It is hard to eradicate once you create a thought form of resentment, grudges, grievances, or negative stories or family stories about each other. That is not who you are. You are each love itself, the bright light of the divine within you. So is everyone else, but most don't know it, and many steadfastly refuse to believe that, or even to hear it, and they are just fine the way they are. Number 7, never be a doormat to another person. That is betraying yourself to enslavement and will eventually backfire in ugly, unpredictable ways. Stand up for yourself, reason things out together, and at some periods and seasons of life, one of the partners may need to carry more than their seeming share of the hard work, the responsibility, the social obligations, the child care, the housework, or the chauffeuring of children or aged parents, and other duties. This flows back and forth over the years. Don't keep score. Just give thanks every day that you are blessed to be with your beloved, who is your constant mirror and teacher, who will show you more about life, love, understanding, and compassion than anyone you will ever know or love, whether you do the great work alone or together. Number 8, don't put each other down, or anyone down for that matter, and don't ever call each other ugly names. Number 9, life is full of temptations, especially for such attractive, bright, charismatic, accomplished, and appealing people as the two of you. And don't cheat. Ever. Not even with online flirtations. And remember, youth and great looks will eventually fade. Vision and minds can dim. Limbs can weaken, and diseases and accidents can happen. Take care of your minds and bodies, and don't take them for granted. Don't take a single loved one for granted. They won't be here forever in the physical form. Although we never truly die, we just drop the body and go on to our next adventure. Also, keep all of your friends and relationships in good repair. One has to be a friend to have a friend. One has to be a friend to have a friend. When we live our lives in selfless service, we will always have more friends than we can squeeze comfortably into our daytimers. But with a loved one, Always make time for them, even if it's just making a 3-minute phone call, or sending a funny cartoon by email, or sending a paper greeting card or flowers to them. Darling hearts, we love you more than we can say. But I'll keep saying it just to keep in practice over the months and years ahead. We love you and always will. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, that you could ever do to make us not love you. And waking up to reality means actually that you are not riding off into the sunset together, happily ever after, as the wedding couples did in old American Western movies. Sorry, there is no ideal soulmate, fabulous lover, or perfect spouse. You are the ones you've been waiting for. The real work begins now with both of you. That work, which is usually called the work or the great work on oneself by ancient and modern sages, means the authentic, honest work of being your best aware self with your best kindness, your best courtesy, and best manners and personal reflection with your partner every day from now on. When you get upset, fill out a Byron Katie worksheet and discover your projections on your partner. If we get lazy, sloppy, or unconscious with our daily awareness and introspection, it is more painful when we have to go back and to confront our lapses later, which means lots of cleanup work, mutual forgiveness, and making lots of accountable amends. But why am I saying all of this, even though Jim and I continue to follow these self-created, homemade protocols for a happy marriage? Please don't be offended at these ideas, some of which may not be your cup of tea. If you two are like most of us, you have probably had to surmount countless arguments, differences, and misunderstandings already. You have had plenty of experience. The question is, was it dysfunctional communication patterns and experience, or a solid foundation that will stand the test of time and true love? As you know, it is inevitable that any two people will sometimes disagree. But we never need to be disagreeable. So far, you are overcomers. You succeeded to this point. Now you're moving to the next chapter of your relationship, which will be filled with surprises and which will demand more skills. Take as many communication workshops as you can. Study skillful communications and practice, practice, practice. Find people whom you admire and start the technique of modeling genius. You can use the skill of modeling genius in any aspect of life. But make sure that the person you're emulating embodies your ethics and values and walks their talk as much as is humanly possible. In this case, modeling genius and strong marriages, observe what honest, loving, growing couples do who constantly work on themselves and their communications. Consider what aware, introspective, constantly changing, and successful human beings do that you would like to emulate. Exclude celebrities unless they're exceptionally aware and you personally know them. Remember, the mere duration of a marriage or relationship is hardly an indication that the relationship is a functional, loving, honest, and emotionally sound one. That is, long is not necessarily strong in true love, honesty, and good mental health. For example, Nursing homes are filled with people who are like emotional toddlers, throwing tantrums, trying to get attention and to get their way, rather than being wise sages merely because they have inhabited their bodies for many decades. As they say in 12-step groups, quote, most character defects deepen over time unless people do continual personal and spiritual work and continually make accountable amends to others, end quote. In observing the clients whom we've worked with in our coaching, counseling, and workshops, we've found that most people don't have skills in listening, communicating, and mutual problem solving. Many people merely endure their old, dysfunctional marriage patterns in order to not rock the boat. Strong, truly happy marriages will have survived lots of boat rocking. I repeat, strong, truly happy marriages will have survived lots of boat rocking. Yet, they're not addicted to conflict or fighting. They love peace. On occasion, Jim and I will still have an argument until one of us comes to our senses. Normally, that happens in about 5 minutes. Also, remember that strong relationships and marriages are truly not about going numb and sticking it out. Your relationship cannot survive if one or both of you have addictions. If you do, get help. Having an addiction is like having a secret mistress which excludes the actual spouse. Does either one of you have an addiction to, for example, alcohol, to gambling, to risky living patterns, to food, to pornography, to drugs, to TV, to phones, to screens, to video games, to tobacco, to vaping, or to medications, just to numb your feelings? If so, again, get help and join a 12-step group. Work the steps with a sponsor and help others get clean and sober. By the way, it's stinking thinking that drives addictions. There's nothing wrong with your beloved or anyone else. It's your thoughts about them that are the problem. I repeat, it's your thoughts about them that are the problem. That's why we're giving you the book, Loving What Is, by Byron Katie, as another wedding gift, so that you can learn the invaluable communication skills that she teaches. Once you learn those skills and examine every painful thought about another person on paper, it's fairly easy to catch yourself in your own projections after that. Now, on the topic of finding very aware and loving people to emulate, who have stayed true to themselves and to each other, and who truly love and honor each other, then imitate the communication skills that at least one of them has. You might not actually find two people in a couple where both are aware and doing the necessary self-inquiry work on themselves to become happy, aware people. One is enough. And you may outgrow some of those people as you mature and keep embodying more new skills to cope with more complex life challenges. Just don't outgrow each other. And don't let any friends or family members try to drive a wedge between you. Do the work. Make weekly time for play. Have a date night each week. And don't abuse, neglect, or abandon each other or take each other for granted. Never ever hit each other or throw things at each other. Work things out continually. Sing together, hike, Develop mutual hobbies or pastimes. Play music. Get outside in nature if those things relight your fire of well-being. Nurture yourselves and each other. If you don't nurture and cherish your spouse, someone else will eventually. Most importantly, keep forgiving and don't hold grudges. Finally, remember that your marriage will be the longest-running series of negotiations that you will ever have in your life. Don't give up. Don't play games. Don't make bargains. Get counseling help when you're stuck. Keep praying daily. We've noticed with our clients and audiences that some women in particular seem to adopt men as projects, as in the famous Broadway play, quote, "I love you, you're perfect, now change," end quote. Always remember, both of you, that you are marrying a real person who has every right to be themselves. And if you have an agenda to make them into some sort of imaginary soulmate or dream lover or the ideal spouse for you, and there's no such thing, then you will be setting up yourself and your partner for suffering. Marry reality, not the figment of your imagination who has so much potential. Marry for love, not for sex, money, or prestige. And just keep growing, praying, forgiving, and making accountable amends backed by new habits and awareness. Keep God fully in your marriage and thank Him daily for His blessings. As for life priorities, put God first, each other second, and work third. Once again, put God first, each other second, and work third. If you don't resonate with any of these ideas, just take the best and leave the rest. People change in life and in relationships. You must face that squarely and deal with it, because that is inevitable. People and relationships that don't change and flex with the ups and downs of life are as good as dead. But resurrection is always possible through marriage counseling and daily spiritual practices and prayer if there is enough will, love, and commitment. That's will, love, and commitment on both sides. Working on relationships make us clear, self-empowered, and humble, which is a good thing. There's one final topic. If either of you ever has an affair, or you divorce and marry someone else, you will simply pick up in roughly the same place, emotionally, with the same issues, with the new person where you left off, with the former lover or spouse. That's how life works. We attract our perfect mirrors for needed change on various issues. In other words, quote, "Wherever I go, there I am, taking all of my habit patterns and personal dysfunctions with me," end quote. Simply put, if we want to be truly happy, contented people, there is no escape from doing the ongoing work on ourselves, whether we are single, living with a partner, or married. It's called waking up, standing up, growing up, and showing up to God, to life, to oneself, and to other people and loved ones. We send you both our great love, respect, and admiration with warm hugs and a kiss on each cheek to both of you. Connie and Jim.